Welcome to the second session of DevOps. In the first session, we have covered the introduction to DevOps, and this second session, we are going to cover one more important topic, which is called CI, that means continuous integration, and second is CD, and CD is continuous. So now, in terms of D, okay, there are two specific words: continuous delivery and continuous deployment. Okay, and there are two different meanings of when we say continuous delivery, it's a different mean, and when we say continuous deployment, then it's a different meaning. Okay, so we'll go one by one. So first we are going to cover CI and then we'll cover the CD. Okay, so let me give you a small recap what we have learned about the DevOps in the first session. So what exactly is a DevOps? So DevOps is an automation of the different tasks that fall between your development and then operations. That means when the code is running in the live production environment, right? So it's a complete automation of all the steps that involve in between. So now what are the steps? Your development team check in the code to SVN or maybe any of the code repository that your organization is using. It could be your GitHub, which is a cloud-based repository, right? After that, your code need to compile, test, build to make your code ready. Okay, and then it need to be deployed in your production and different environments. So we do the complete automation of the steps between development and the phase of the operation, or which is a live or production environment, right? This we have learned in detail in the first session. So this CI and CD is specifically the different phases that we have in between, right? So when I say we do the automation of different kind of operations between development and operations, these are two different phases, right? This is phase 1 and this is I am referring as phase 2. So this automation include two important steps. One is the CI and second is the CD. Okay, so let me first cover the CI and then we'll go to the CD. Okay, so let me first quickly erase all the content. Okay, then now let me go with the CI, continuous integration. Now it is very clear from the name as well, it is continuous integration. So what we are doing, we are doing the integration of our code, whatever the code that has been developed by your developers. Okay, it has to be integrated, right? But before the integration, there are multiple things that need to be take care. Okay, specifically I'm talking about in terms of testing, right? So this continuous integration CI is specifically related with the testing of your code. Once the code is developed and it is pushed into the centralized location by the developers, then we initiate the continuous integration, right? So what kind of a testing we can do? We have a multiple kind of a testing, but before that let me tell you, for example, that you have multiple developers are working in an organization. You have developer 1, developer 2, developer 3. I'm just giving you a small basic overview how it works. Suppose we have 4 developers. They are working on a single project for a single client. They are doing the independent code. Developer 1 is working on module 1, developer 2 is working on module 2, 3 is working on module 3, and 4 is working on module 4. At the last, because it is a single project, right? So all these code has to be merged, correct? And this particular project or the code may be integrated with some third-party applications outside your organization, correct? In the enterprise world, we have a multiple integration and with the multiple partners, right, across the organization. So when the developers merge the code, or you can say send the code to central repository, right? So this code need to be tested. So that means each module has to be tested individually, right? And after that, this code need to be merged, and that complete code also need to be tested, right? This is a very basic funda of your testing. So this is called a unit testing. When we are doing the testing of the individual component to make sure it is working as expected, this is called the unit testing. And when we do the integration of all the modules, right, for complete end-to-end testing, this is referred as integration testing. Okay. Now on top of that, we have a different other kind of a testing as well. And what all are the testing? Other are the functional testing. We can check the different kind of functions that we have developed in our code, right? And apart from that, multiple testings are there. Regression testing, right? Your performance testing, which is called the PT. You can have a security testing, right? And apart from that, you will have a smoke testing. So we have a different kind of a testing, okay? And your code has to be passed each and every testing, and then it goes for the your deployment or to create the final build code file once all the testing is completed, so that your code can be deployed in your production environment along with the some other pre-prod and whatever the environment that you have in your organization, right? So in the continuous integration, which is referred as CI, we basically do the automation of testing. Simple. So whatever the test that we have discussed here, okay, unit testing, integration testing, functional testing, regression testing, performance tuning, security, smoke testing. So whatever is applicable for your organization, for your client, for your code, okay, we do the automation of all the testing. Okay, and this testing can be executed by a DevOps tool. For example, if you have Jenkins, okay, so this Jenkins can initiate all the testings once the code is pushed into the central repository, right? And what we have learned in the previous session about the basic of the Jenkins. So whenever the code is pushed in the repository, for example, you have a GitHub repository, right? So during the configuration, when we set up your repository with the Jenkins, so your Jenkins poll for the repository to check if there is any new code or not. As soon as your Jenkins identify there is a new code in your repository, it automatically kick off the steps to compile, build, test, and then create the final code file. It automatically initiated by the Jenkins. There could be other multiple tools as well in the market. I am giving the example of one of the leading DevOps tool for this kind of automation, which is the Jenkins. Okay. So now, hope the CI is clear to you. So what we are doing with the CI, we are just doing the automation of all the testings, whatever we execute once our code is ready, or you can say once the code is developed. Okay. Now, one very important thing, or very important thing that you have to understand. Let me first clear this one. It is very important point for you to understand, specifically in the DevOps. Okay. Your DevOps tool, for example, I was talking about the Jenkins, right? And as I said, as soon as the code is ready in your repository, your Jenkins poll for repository, if the code is ready, it automatically initiate the build, compile, testing, and the final code file, right? But this Jenkins here working as an orchestrator. That means this is facilitating all these features to get initiated, right? But to execute all this step, you have to write the code or script for that one. Okay. For example, if I take the example of Jenkins, in Jenkins we create the pipelines. Okay. And one is the pipeline is CI pipeline. So when we need to initiate the testing, what we do, we create a CI pipeline in the Jenkins so that it can initiate the your testing and build and compile process. Right. But as I said, your Jenkins will only work as an orchestrator. That means it is polling for the repository. As soon as the new code is there, it will initiate the pipeline. Right. It will initiate the pipeline as soon as the new code is there, and whatever we have written in the pipeline, it will get executed. And what we have inside the pipeline, we have the in the pipeline we have the script, or you can say the code, which will compile, build your code, it will test your code, and final code file will be ready for the deployment. So that means Jenkins is working going as a orchestrator, which is facilitating this kind of a execution when the new code is available. But for actual executions, you have to write the code. Okay. So now we are talking about the CI, and in CI we have multiple kind of a testing, right? Unit testing, you have a integration testing, you have a regression testing, and then you have a performance testing, smoke testing. Multiple type kind of a testings are there. So to automate these all kind of a testings, we can use a different frameworks or different tools. Okay. For example, JMeter. There are multiple tools are there available in the market. We have a Selenium, Cypress, Cucumber, and then there are a lot of different kind of a tools are available, and which is applicable for different kind of a testing. That means for different kind of a testing, we have a different kind of a tools, and using that particular tools or the framework, we can write the script. Okay, and that script can be part of your pipeline. Similarly, if you are going to build a code, you have to write the logic for that one. Okay. So now in a nutshell, Jenkins here working as an orchestration tool. The actual execution is done by the pipeline that we create, and inside the pipeline we create the pipeline script to compile, build, test, and creating the final code using the Jenkins. Okay. So now this is all about CI. Okay, and a basic flow between the CI and your in the CI, specifically in the DevOps. Right. So hope the CI is clear to you. So now let us talk about the CD. Let me first erase it quickly. Okay, now let us talk about the CD. This is called the continuous delivery and deployment. Now, what is the difference between when we say the continuous delivery and when we say continuous deployment? So let me explain you. So during the phases of the DevOps, that means from development to the operations, which is your live production environment, the CI initiated, right? So that means your code is compiled, build, and testing also completed using your CI, and then your final code is ready. Right. For example, you are going to deploy your web application, which is a .war file, or maybe enterprise application with .ear extension. Maybe it could be a library or jar file. Right. So your code is ready. Now, once your code is ready, you have two options. First, you can deploy the code manually. Right. You don't want to deploy directly in your production. You may have to apply it in a pre-production, and then you would like to go for certain checks. And once you are sure, then you would like to initiate the deployment in the production. Right. Second is the complete automated deployment. So that means in the CI and CD, or you can say DevOps, once the CI executed, that means the test has been executed successfully and your final code is ready. Then you have to take that decision whether you are going for a manual deployment of the code or you are going with the automated deployment. You don't need any manual intervention. Okay. So when you are deciding that you have to deploy the code manually, okay, then it is referred as continuous delivery. Okay. And now when your code is defined to be deployed automatically, it is referred as continuous deployment. Okay, many times in many organizations where they have very standard process in place. Okay, and when you are very confident that everything is good, if my test is compiled in the CI and or it has passed all the tests and my code file is ready, then it will be 100% perfect. In that case, you can do the auto deployment of the code once it is ready. So that means in this automated deployment, there is no manual step from development to live production environment, because once the code is checked into the repository, it is automatically pulled, compiled, built, tested, final code ready, and then it automatically deployed to your production. There is no manual intervention in between, completely automated. And when we say the continuous delivery, so only difference is that everything will be done executed automatically. So once your code file is ready, you take the code file and then you deploy it manually, and this is referred as continuous delivery. Sorry, this is the difference between continuous delivery and continuous deployment. Okay, so now we have a multiple tools in the market for this continuous integration and continuous deployment. Some of the tools has both the functionalities. They work as a CI and they have a functionality of CD as well. For example, Jenkins. So let me give a few examples that we use in the DevOps for these kind of automations. So we have the tool Jenkins. We have the tool GitHub, and inside the Git we have a GitHub Actions, and then we have a GitLab. Okay, and then we have a Agro CD. Then we have Circle CI. Then we have Travis CI. Okay, we have a Team City. We have a called Bamboo. We have Spinnaker, Flux CD. Okay, and then Octopus Delivery. And then if you go to AWS Cloud, okay, you have a Code Deploy. This is in AWS. Similarly, we have a multiple other tools available for with the each and every cloud service providers. Correct. So what we have learned in the first session, introduction to DevOps, which is now clear to you, and now second is the critical other concept, CI and CD. Hope it is clear to you. Right. Still, if you have any doubt, you need any kind of a questions, query in your mind which you would like to clarify, then you can reach us anytime. You can write to us on digitalk.fmw@gmail.com. You can write your queries, question, any kind of a doubt, whatever you have on this particular email ID. We'll try to respond to you as soon as possible, but definitely you are going to get a response on that. Thank you.